Welcome, FNews57 here. Once again, I'm back on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the Xbox, and today we are going over the absolute ultimate strategy for no cranked, no glory, how to become the champion. I know you guys want that emblem that says champion, so hopefully you have a non-sweaty leaderboard. But if you do, if you're wondering how there's folks with millions of points or tens of millions of points already on the event, it's probably because they're doing this. So let me go ahead and walk you through it. With that being said, there will be a link to my previous video which showcases two other optional farming methods, but they won't be quite as efficient. Now, keeping in mind that this strategy is going to have a skill check, so just bear with me on that. Feel free to use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. It is the absolute most insane way of farming points for the cranked event. We are going to literally be quadrupling, without the use of gumballs, all of our essence earned, and on top of that, if we get double points, we will actually then be earning essence at a 6 times ratio. It is absolutely insane. You cannot beat this. And I'll go through everything that you need to know. So first off, we're going to go with the standard setup for those folks that maybe don't really want to go to the extreme. This will still give you quadruple essence gains without the use of any gumballs. But if you want to go super crazy with it, I'm going to show you how to do that as well, just in case you don't already know. Now, a lot of folks might know because this strategy really hasn't changed that much. You can bring in whatever weapon you want. For me, personally, I'm going to bring in the Maelstrom shotgun. This way I can demo both versions of this, but my build is going to be a little bit different here. We will not be using the Dragon's Breath round. So again, no Dragon's Breath because this is going to decrease the amount of essence that we get. So use Rapid Fire instead. I also like to use the Tac Stance laser and the Infiltrator stock. You don't have to do that if you want. You can rock a complete hipfire build. Remember, we don't have wall buys, so if you're going to use the GS45s, you'll need to bring them in with you. And of course, the field upgrade is completely useless, so that does increase the skill check of this strategy. For this, I do recommend decoys and starting with Molotov cocktails because we will need to take advantage of a side Easter egg. This does not require the use of any gobblegums. However, if you want to try your luck from the mystery box, you're more than welcome to bring in a Wonder Bar or a Wonder Bar and crate power. But otherwise, if you want the Beam Smasher, you're going to have to build it. So, with that being said, if you don't want to use the shotgun method and you're going to only use the Beam Smasher method, bring in any weapon that you're comfortable with. It doesn't really matter. It's entirely personal preference. Where the engine of this is going to be in augments. You can honestly use really whatever you want on this map, but there's a couple that you need to make sure that you have. I recommend Juggernog with probiotic and hardened plates, so you're taking less damage through your armor, and you have more health. Melee Macchiato doesn't matter. Speed Cola does matter. You're going to want supercharged and fast pitcher. Volturade, honestly, it's a little bit personal preference what you use for a minor augment, but you absolutely will want Parting Gift if you're going to be using the Beam Smasher. And personally, I do prefer Picky Eater, but carrying luggage is viable if you're going to go to exceedingly high rounds. Just depends on if you need more salvage or not. Death Perception, since we now have it, Critical Eye will help us a little bit, especially with the shotgun, so go ahead and put Critical Eye on. PhD Flopper is going to get changed to Dr. Ram or Dr. Ram, and then the minor augment doesn't matter. Deadshot Daiquiri is going to go typical shotgun ammo build for Dead Again, where critical hits have a chance of adding a bullet to your magazine, and then it really doesn't matter what you use. You could use Dead Draw or Dead Break. It's entirely personal preference. We do have double tap, so that's going to be standard for shotgun with double standard and double play. However, that will not apply to the Beam Smasher, so don't worry about it too much. Elemental Pop, I would recommend Citrus Focused and Vulnerable Bean, or just don't even worry about buying Elemental Pop in the first place. You could try to combine this with Electric Cherry, but I don't know if it'll cancel it out. As far as ammo mods are concerned, the only ammo mod we'll be using is Deadwire. Do not worry about using Napalm Burst or Cryo Freeze for this, because they will actually steal essence from you. So Lightning Strike and Haste are what I prefer for my Deadwire. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. All you're going to do is you're going to go into Cranked. You can do this in a solo game or squad game. And then you're going to go down to the old map terminus. Go ahead and get that started up, and I'll meet you in game. Feel free to skip ahead. Basically, all you're going to do is unlock Pack-a-Punch, and you will need to buy Melee Macchiato for the first step. But fear not, I'm going to run you through the entire process. As soon as you get into the match, you will want to just save two things. So go into your search settings and type in Sprint. From there, you are going to look for 2 sprint settings, and you'll want to favorite these so you can get back to them easily. Sprint Assist, just keep it on whatever you have for now, but make sure that you favorite, because we will be changing it to Tac Sprint Assist. And then you will also be looking for Sprint Cancels Reload. If you're like me, you probably disabled this immediately, but just make sure you favorite, because we will need it later on. So, with those 2 settings favorited, unfortunately we have no Rampage Inducer and we have no wall buys in this Cranked game mode. The general gist of it is earn a shitload of points. You do have to understand that in Cranked, points or essence earned is doubled. So, well, at least crit kills are doubled. But as soon as you kill a zombie, it's going to start a 30-second timer. And if you don't get kills fast enough, then unfortunately, well, you're just SOL. So purple-eyed zombies or non-wave specific zombies, it doesn't matter on. But all other zombies, depending on how you kill the zombie, is going to determine how many points or how much essence you get. A body shot kill is normally 90 essence. However, it's actually 135 during this event. So if I kill this zombie right there, it's 135 points. A melee kill is normally 105, but it's actually 150 during this event. In addition to that, a critical kill is normally 115, and during the event it's 230. The entire time that this event is active and you are playing in this event, you are dealing with your normal point value, at least for crit kills, being doubled. So definitely prioritize crit kills for this. You can do all your normal side Easter eggs and main Easter eggs, and don't get too far ahead of the zombies, because if you do get too far ahead of the zombies, well, you're probably going to explode before they get to you. I do recommend that you use the weapon that you brought in and not a weapon that you picked up off of one of the dead Janus guards to start with, simply because of the fact that you should be using a weapon with a suppressor, and this will allow you to build salvage much faster. So pretty much make your way to Pack-a-Punch as per normal, and I will go ahead and meet you there. Just remember that you have this annoying timer that you're constantly dealing with. So that's the only reason why I'm leaving this in. I know a lot of folks are very comfortable with the Terminus map. I don't particularly like how Terminus plays. I like the way that the map looks. I absolutely love it. It looks like a really cool zombies map, but everything is spread out so much that it's just not that much fun. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the order that I do this, especially in Cranked. I know that'll make the video a little bit longer, so please bear with me. We're going to try to make sure that we get as many points and as much salvage as possible while moving as we need so that we don't have to backtrack. Because moving around on this map with the timer, especially solo, is incredibly difficult. If the timer was a little bit longer, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. And we don't want to flip that many rounds. So we want to buy Jug as quickly as possible. This way we don't have to come back here. And that's our only survivability. Our only survivability comes from our perks and our armor. If you don't have them, well, you're basically going to die. You don't have any get out of jail free cards, so it's very important to keep that in mind. Now, if you're willing to use a Wonder Bar or, multiple Wonder Bars, or you just want to wait and try your luck with hitting the mystery box, that is perfectly fine for the Beam Smasher. You don't have to use anything different. And of course, we have the mystery box in all of the locations, so it's entirely personal preference. With the increased points, it's completely fine to just hit the mystery box. I'm going to throw one wonder bar at it just to try, but honestly, the RNG on low rounds, at least for me, is pretty bad, and 9 times out of 10, all we're going to get is going to be the ray gun, which, personally, I have really bad luck with the ray gun. So, like you've seen there, we didn't get anything really worthwhile. That wonder bar was pretty much a waste. If you do that and you grab the wonder bar, sacrifice it, sure, fine, go ahead and just take the ray gun. It's better than nothing. I suppose it can serve as a substitute to the GS45 since, well, we can't bring 2 weapons in with us. Again, we're just going to move down here. I do have a complete tutorial for this map. That video will be linked in the description in case you guys need a guide for the actual Easter egg or any of the other steps. I do like to grab the shovel there. And of course, you should be picking up the spare change, because anything that allows us to move through this area faster will be helpful. So digging up these little nests, or graves, deposits, whatever you want to call them, they can also give you a random weapon. Of course, the weapon that you get, even if it is the same weapon that you are using, like I have my Maelstrom zombie built, but it's not going to have the attachments on it that we need. So just bear that in mind. Also, if you did get the ray gun, remember that you're going to need some PhD flopper for that to protect yourself. So we're a little bit late getting to this party here. We're going to be flipping around. I ran out of ammo. The shotgun doesn't have really enough ammo. But we need to get the power on. We need to get Pack-a-Punch on. And then, of course, we need to get Dead Wire. So the purple-eyed zombies are the only thing that you have to worry about when actually doing this step. All of the other round zombies, they're just going to go after you. Since we have the ray gun, fantastic opportunity to use it to make this step a little bit easier. Because initially you're going to notice that your stuff's fallen off a little bit. But if you don't have the ray gun, it's not a big deal. You can do it with any other normal ballistic weapon. Now, I know what everybody's thinking. Oh my god, Terminus, the water. We got to spend so much time in the water. But watch this. The moment that we jump in the water, any time we spend in the water, our timer is automatically paused. So this is actually something that you can use to your advantage. Obviously, there's still the fun police on this map, so you can't spend your entire time in the water, but any time that you spend in the water, or any time that you spend on a boat in the water, you are just immune to that timer. It is timer stopped. You don't have to worry about it. Now, we will need Melee Macchiato for the next step, and you might as well start working on the Beam Smasher quest. Obviously, you don't have to, but I would recommend it. So you're going to want to go ahead and get Dead Wire as soon as you possibly can. So first 500 salvage should go to Dead Wire. And then I typically like to stick around this area till we have the 5,000 points, which if you're prioritizing crit kills, it should be pretty easy because you're going to want this weapon Pack-a-Punched anyways. We do have to do a bunch of different steps. You can do free perk Easter eggs. You can really do whatever you want. Just keep in mind that this is going to be more difficult. Now remember, since we are playing in Cranked, we have the kind of double points going on right now. So certain things are amplified and certain things aren't. For instance, if the ammo mod kills a zombie, that ammo mod kill is going to be 90 points. It's going to be base value. But the additional points for shocking an enemy, those are going to be increased. So instead of 5 points, we're going to go ahead and get 10 points. It doesn't make a huge difference, but it is something to keep in mind, and that's one of the reasons why we've chosen Dead Wire, in addition to the fact that it's actually needed for the Beam Smasher quest, and in addition to the fact that the Amalgam is actually weak to lightning damage. So, Keep those two factors in mind and you will be perfectly fine. Try to get yourself 5,000 points, which honestly with this double points right here, I'm not using it efficiently, but we'll go ahead and just annihilate these guys. If you want, you can do the free perk Easter egg, killing off these zombies. You can also just use them to go ahead and get free points. If you have the ray gun, it can be super easy to go ahead and just smash them with the ray gun. But obviously, if you don't have the ray gun, you don't have to worry about it. It's not like the end-all, be-all of everything. Before you leave this area for the first time, you don't want to flip too many rounds, because the more rounds you flip through this, the more annoying it's going to be in the long run. But I do recommend going to green weapon rarity, because, well, we don't have SAM trials. So, go ahead and go to green weapon rarity, and be careful that you don't get yourself stuck in a corner. That's another reason why we do like to have dead wire on here, because it can help us get out of a couple of sticky situations. Get your core 3 perks as you would like them, or if you're okay with having melee macchiato, go ahead and grab melee macchiato, and we can start moving in a upgrade direction now. So if you're going to keep the ray gun, feel free to pack-a-punch it. You don't have to. If you do get these little timer extensions there, you can grab them. They don't really do much. But you're going to want to go ahead and pack-a-punch your weapon and make sure that you have melee macchiato before you leave this area. So now that we have our weapon pack-a-punched with our weapon and melee macchiato, we're going to go ahead and punch this wall. And that's going to give us a little bit of dialogue. And that's also going to tell us that we need to get a side Easter egg item. So we're going to be doing multiple different things here. I know it's a little bit difficult, but please just bear with me. Again, it's easier to do if you're not in cranked. So most folks are probably familiar with doing this. But we're going to need to open up the lab room here. And honestly, you should have been doing this much earlier. This is really easy to do. With the weapon with dead wire on it, we're simply going to shoot these 3 power boxes. That's going to take us up here. Obviously, our timer is going to be going, so you're probably going to need to have your time freeze ability there. And then that's going to bring us back in here. And then that's going to bring us back over here. We can kill that zombie if you're missing a few things. And now we can actually get started with our next step. So if you want to build the beam smasher, you're going to have to do this. If you don't want to build the beam smasher, that is completely understandable. And I believe most folks know the steps for the beam smasher. So you're going to have to get the computer codes and all of that fun stuff, which again, doing this with the cranked timer is absolutely AIDS. But it's, I mean, it's good and bad. So, personal preference. But we're also doing the side Easter eggs. So that's why I'm including this, because we're going to be doing these steps at kind of the same time. Obviously, just try to kill like 1 zombie, maybe 2 zombies at a time. Try not to kill a whole bunch of zombies when you don't need points, because you got to keep this timer going. And I could risk it a little bit more, but I honestly don't like risking it. And I do like grabbing the 2-plate vest as well as quick revive once you actually have enough money and enough time to do it. So pretty much what we're needing the multi-phasic resonator. And again, we want to get that out of the way as early as possible. We can also get the spare change, basically coming up here in the lighthouse, and that's going to trigger a boatload of vermin to spawn. Now the fantastic thing about this is, well, we don't actually have to worry about these vermin. While the vermin do count as kills, they don't actually count towards the round cap. So we can kill them and use them to get our timer up here with, well, relative impunity. Obviously, again, we're getting a little bit ahead of our zombies here. And then we're going to bring that multi-phasic resonator back, and we're going to need to place it. So once you insert the little multi-phasic resonator, you're going to need to go ahead and hit the terminal, interact with it real quick, and then you'll put some post-it notes on there, and you have to figure out the code. You can either figure out the code, or there's websites that'll tell you what the code is, or you can simply pay for the code, which, for the purposes of what we're doing here, paying for the code might be a little bit easier. Of course, keeping an eye on that timer. It's going to cost you 5,000 points to find out what the code is. My code is 114530. So take a screenshot of that. 114530. Again, we want to do this on as low a round as possible. 114530. And of course, managing this this timer, that's what always gets me. 114530. So we're gonna run back here. I really wish it paused your timer while you did this, but it doesn't. 11. No. Whew, almost messed that up. Alright. 11:45 and 30. Hit the input button, and you're probably going to have a horde on you, so you're going to want to get out of that area as quickly as possible. And now all you need to do is go ahead and flip a few rounds. Hopefully you did that on the first round before you flipped any rounds. And then we're just going to jump down here into the water, which is going to allow us to get to the docks or get to the boat much faster. Obviously the fun police can come after us while we're here, but personal preference. There are some little glowing crates that you can grab if you come across them, but it's obviously completely and utterly personal preference. I don't like taking the boat that's down here, but remember the time that we spend on the water, the timer is paused, so again, that's going to make life so much easier. Now, while we're doing this, we're probably going to have the tentacle police come after us. We're still in the water. We need this watch. And technically, where you break that wall, it does reveal the watch's location on the map with a little red X. And then you can compare that paper map to your mini-map. But it's also easy to just go and use the boat to look around, since while we're doing this, our timer is stopped. I'm going to leave this boat a little ways over here so that hopefully both boats don't get destroyed. And then we are going to need to go back. Of course, doing this right now is perfect because we need to flip rounds for the multiphasic resonator anyways. So make sure that the round isn't about to end. And then go ahead and interact again with the skeleton. This is for the secondary quest. So whether you are doing this with the beam smasher or without the beam smasher, you're gonna need to do this quest for the either Yo Ho Ho Dark Ops challenge if you've never done that, or also known as the Cursed Talisman. Now basically you're gonna wait for this guy to stop talking here. Yada 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 yada. He's gonna go on and on and on for a while, and eventually he's going to tell you that you can go. This is why we made sure that our weapon was Pack-a-Punch 1, and ideally it's going to be blue rarity, but if you don't have blue rarity, it's not the end of the world. I would recommend having enough points, obviously, to buy ammo, and then we're going to go back to the water. There's a couple of perks that we're going to need to buy, and I know I'm doing this in different orders. So again, folks, please just bear with me. You should be able to follow along because I am not doing any kind of hyper editing work here at all. But now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to kill 3 HVT class enemies. So since we are in directed mode, all of our wonderful spicy stuff is doubled, our essence, so we can go ahead and buy 2 perks. I did get a double points here. If you get a double points, feel free to take advantage of it. Just rack up that extra essence, because the Wonder Fizzer, oh my god, it's way too early in the morning for this, because the Wonder Fizz is available from the get-go. So make sure you have Quick Revive, ideally Deadshot Daiquiri, and I like a little bit of Vulturade, but it's entirely personal preference on the Vulturade. Now that we have our perk set up, you should be getting an audio cue somewhere around this point that says your multiphasic resonator calibrated, so you're going to need to go back. But before we leave this ship, we're going to throw one of those mollies that we brought in on that skeleton. Now, ideally, you have armor plates at this point, but if you don't have armor plates, it's not a massive deal. Just take a decoy, toss it somewhere to get the little zombies off of you, and then that allows you to deal just with this Mangler HVT. Now, again, you have to deal with this guy while micromanaging the timer, which can make it a little bit more difficult. Not impossible. You can also use thermo grenades for this. Thermo grenades do work. They're a little bit harder to aim than the mollies, so I recommend that you just use mollies. And if you get a score streak, feel free to pick that up, because again, this is a little bit different. Since we are doing this in cranked, we have to micromanage this timer, so we'll go ahead and do that. Get our timer up, jump on this raft. Now, to min-max this, because we don't want to flip that many rounds, we're going to continue on with the captain's quest here, even though we'll have to come back with the multiphasic resonator. But I think most folks know how to do the multiphasic resonator and build the beam smasher. So where a lot of people don't know what to do is going to be here with the side quest that we're doing, or the side Easter egg. Make your way over here to Exfil Island. You'll see a skeleton, and you can go ahead and barbecue that skeleton pretty damn much like we did the last skeleton. Wait for him to animate. You'll get your little audio line. And again, you're dealing with a HVT, so he is a lot tankier, and ammo mods don't really affect them at all. But you'll be able to burn through his armor pretty quick. And then really all you need is that cursed key. And again, we can, or cursed coin, I should say, not cursed key. You can enter the water there, and that'll pause our timer. There's also a arsenal station right there if you want. And if you're unfamiliar for where the third location is, it's going to be over here on this little gumball island. So pretty much the direction that we were coming from already. And that's why I left timestamps in the video for folks to go ahead and just skip through. Now, it can be very hard to see when you're on this island, but you're going to be looking for like a little bit of an arm sticking up, or might be even a leg sticking up out of the ground. Basically, it's a bone sticking up out of the ground. Find it, and then throw a Molotov cocktail on it. Try to avoid triggering the fun police if you can, but obviously that's not the easiest thing to do. It's probably going to cause you to flip a round or two while you're doing this, but you'll be, well, mostly alright, assuming that you came prepared. You can dig up these extra dig spots just for some freebies, you know, nothing huge. And now, of course, if we enter the water, we'll pause our timer. For some reason, I just cannot get ammo here, or armor. I can get ammo, but no armor. And your screen's going to get a little mucked up between effects of you taking damage and the effects of the cursed coin. But we need to go back to the docks area, which is super easy to do. You can also do the free Wonder Bar Easter egg with the fish if you have an explosive weapon, but again, you don't have to do that. If you're lucky and you find an ether tool, you should be already at blue rarity. If you're unlucky, just simply upgrade to blue rarity, and you're going to slowly make your way down into the cave where Speed Cola is. Of course, remember these wonderful little time stops. And, of course, remember to keep an eye on that cranked timer. I cannot stress enough how managing your kills in this is so important. As long as the round isn't close to flipping, you're going to go ahead and turn in those coins that we just got. So go ahead and turn them in here. Try to get some crit kills. You don't want to flip too many rounds, but if you go through a few zombies here and you end up with enough points for Pack-a-Punch 2, or just for a few extra perks, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. He's going to give you a bunch of talk, and in addition to that, he's going to spit out 3 legendary weapons. If you want to use one of those legendary weapons, feel free to do so. But you don't really know what you're gonna get, so yeah. Then he's gonna mark a island on that little paper map, and once that little paper map is updated with the island that we need to go to, we are golden. So at this point, I would recommend a 3-plate vest. Again, we don't have survivability, so 3-plate, or you're just kind of gonna be in a bit of a tough spot. And now we need to, once again, micromanage our points and kills, remembering that there's this pesky-ass timer. If you do want to avoid the timer a little bit, well, you can always use a timed-out gobble and buy yourself a good couple of minutes to not really worry about a darn thing. So now we need the Beam Smasher. Obviously, having stamina up, you can run around the map faster. It'll make your life a little easier, but it's not necessary. Go back, pick up the multiphasic resonator that we made here, and now we need to calibrate it, which I am guessing that most folks are probably pretty well familiar with the calibration step. Again, to save ourselves a little bit of time, we can simply just dive down here. This gets us down and it gets us into the water faster. You can buy another boat if you want. I mean, 500 essence isn't really that big of a deal for a boat. Or if you have enough money, because you got lucky, you can go ahead and just, well, I don't know, sit there and maybe get some pack 2. I cannot stress enough how much you have to manage your timer. Like, this is the hard part. And this is why I'm leaving all of this in the video so you guys can see exactly how we do it. Because this timer is super unforgiving. Max ammo. And again, we're going to just get in the water as quickly as we possibly can. We're going to be doing that a lot, and you're going to be hearing me say that a lot. We're spending a lot of time in the water, and we don't want to be going back and forth to multiple different islands and everything, multiple different sections of the map, all that much. We want to stay in one area as much as possible. But then again, we also want to flip the most Alright, so we're going to be doing the first step here. We'll get on land. We're kind of in water, but not in water at the same time. You just really want to do the multiphasic resonator step quickly, because unfortunately you got the fun police on you, and the fun police are, well, they're annoying regardless. Now the good thing is you do have purple-eyed zombies during these steps. Those purple-eyed zombies do not count towards the round count. And if you're using something like the Maelstrom, you can very easily hip-fire it while carrying the orb. Obviously, I highly recommend that you get rid of any manglers that may spawn while you're doing this. And try to focus only on killing purple-eyed zombies if you need to, you know, get a little bit of time on your timer. That can, of course, be easier said than done, but generally speaking here, the purple-eyed zombies are almost always going to be a vermin. So pretty much under most circumstances, killing a vermin is completely fine. Also, having dead wire will help give you a little bit of breathing room when that lightning strike procs. Try to pick up any essence that you might get. Again, if we need to, in between like the charges for the multiphasic resonator, once it's charged, we can just jump in the water. As soon as that's done, make sure you get a zombie elim before you move on. That will just make your life so much easier. You also want to park your boat where I'm parking the boat. This way, if you do have the fun police, you'll have a little bit easier time. Because now we're going to have the gaseous state, and the gaseous state is arguably even harder. This is the hardest one to do. And that's without micromanaging a timer. This island is just very easy to get trapped on. Once again, I know the video is longer. That's why I'm going to have timestamps in the description. I'm going to have this all chaptered out. But I know a lot of folks struggle on this map in general, just in normal games. So having to do this while fighting a less than 30-second timer, because by this point, you're probably going to be sitting on a timer that's only giving you about 20 seconds or less. And that is not a whole heck of a lot of time. So we're looking for the zombie that has the kind of like purple gas on him. And that's going to be pretty much the only zombie that we actually want to kill. And try to kill him as close as possible. Now, if you have decoys, just use a decoy. That's one of the reasons why we brought in Picky Eater as our augment. It's just going to make life that much easier. And then immediately get back in that water. Also, make sure that you pick up that multiphasic resonator. While you're doing this, if you want to get back on the boat and hit up the Wonder Fizz, you can. You will need PhD Flopper, so we definitely need some money, but we're okay for the moment. The main thing is getting this Beam Smasher built, and we're going to kind of do a little hybrid duck, dip, and dodge there. Saving time. Same thing's going to happen here. Except we're just dealing with the purple element this time. So we're going to look for the zombie that has kind of like a purplish flame to them. They can be hard to see in the horde, trying to kill them as close as possible. Grab that. Try to get a dead wire proc there if at all possible. And believe me, I know this is not the easiest thing to do, folks. I'm not saying that it is. But if you're wondering how people have tens of millions of points on the event leaderboard, this is more than likely how they did it. We're going to grab that third orb, bring that third orb in. Screen's going to go white. Thank goodness I got a max armor. We're going to pick up that amp, and immediately we're going to get back in the water. Get our points back. Now, you're probably going to have the fun police after you. So, just get out of Dodge as quickly as possible.
That artificial intelligence Tanofsky's files mentioned might be our ticket off this island.
There is one thing that we can do here. Or, I should say, we can try to do here. So, if you want, before you go back to the docks, you're going to go to the opposite section, the island that's just across from it. I think a lot of folks like to call this Crab Island. Now, if you're super lucky, the chest will be here and open. but I'm not super lucky. We haven't flipped enough rounds. So what you want to do, you have two options here. Because we're here for points, we're going to wait on grabbing the beam smasher, and we're just going to survive for 3 consecutive round flips while on this island. And that's going to give us what we need to go ahead and give us a nice spicy upgrade. Pretty much the best upgrade that we can possibly get. You'll see all the lightning. I just got a perkaholic. Let's go. End of free fire. You're going to pick up that cursed talisman, and now watch my points. The amount of essence that you get when you have the cursed talisman is doubled. Now, you do lose essence when you actually get hit. It's a relatively small amount. It does suck for getting set up, but it's really, really good for this event leaderboard. It's the absolute best simply because of the fact that it's total essence earned, not actual essence in your pocket. So, bearing that in mind, we are going to be using the Cursed Talisman. Now you know how to build the Cursed Talisman. It's super easy to do. And since this Team Cranked mode is available, this is also a fantastic way, the absolute easiest way to go ahead and get yourself the Yo-Ho-Ho Dark Ops. Because you're going to be running permanent quad points at this point. So every kill we get, every crit kill is 460 points. That is straight up insane. And that's why we wanted a weapon that's good at getting crit kills. Now we're going to need to just go ahead and buy any of the perks that we might want. I recommend hanging out here since we have the tough part done. I just showed how to build the beam smasher. I just showed how to get the cursed talisman so we can quadruple our essence without using any gumballs. Yeah, sure, I used a wonder bar just to show how bad the RNG is at the start of the game, but yeah. Minor technicality. So I recommend staying here on the boat for a little while. You don't have to stay here long. Just long enough to get your perks. Oh, look at this. We got ourselves a double points. This is where you want to use a temporal gift. If you have temporal gift in your pocket, use it on a double points and just look at all of this essence. Look at all of this insane amount of essence that we're stacking up here. There's going to be an amalgam coming in. You can skip elemental pop. There's honestly really no reason to get it. I just bought it so I could have the perkaholic. I'm going to quickly try to shred this amalgam, but he's going to grab me through the stun. Now that we have everything, we are just going absolutely nutty here. You can literally just stop at this point. Like, you actually don't have to go any higher than this. Just get the cursed talisman, maybe get the beam smasher as well if you really want it, and then stop. Just keep farming points wherever you feel comfortable on the map. That is all you have to do. But we're going to make it one step crazier. Again, I know it's a longer video. I apologize. There is a drastic amount of information to cover here. And I could split it up into multiple videos, but a lot of folks, like I said, they struggle with this map. We'll need 2,500 salvage to go to purple rarity, which is alright. Basically, all we're doing right now is we're going to slowly make our way back to where you build the beam smasher. Of course, along the way, you should be able to pick up as much essence as possible. If you can, go to the purple rarity. Again, we're micromanaging this timer here. We're going to grab our beam smasher, just because this is going to be our bread and butter. Be very careful on parasite waves. This timer will get you killed more often than anything else in this game, and you've done all of this work. Now, again, if you just want to farm normally, you don't actually have to worry about building the beam smasher and all of that. But If you want to farm to the extreme, then you want your beam smasher. The hard part with doing this is we're going to need a decoy to actually pick up that beam smasher, because these zombies are just going to keep pouring in. So you're going to want to either find a decoy or you're going to want to craft a decoy. In the meantime, though, you can get as many points as possible, prioritizing crit kills. This area out here is a great area to train in if you're feeling spicy. You can also go ahead and do the basketball hoop Easter egg, little side Easter egg here if you haven't done that before. You do have to have a pack-a-punched weapon, and doing it with the shotgun is easier than doing it with other weapons. Also, try to keep your eyes out for something like a mutant injector, if you can find one from one of the enemies. With Picky Eater on, you should be getting decoys fairly frequently, but you also might just not get anything. It does happen. So just try to grab this weapon at the end of the round. Make sure not to lose your shotgun, and then get the hell out of that area, because it gets straight up nutty. Now, the beam smasher, it's great. Its alt fire slows down zombies, and in addition to that, it has the ability to increase the amount of damage that they take. So like that, you can get a whole bunch of headshots really, really easily. But we're going to be using the alt fire primarily. So you're going to need to get yourself some essence built up here. However you wish. You know, it's entirely personal preference at this point. I would recommend building up at least a good 50,000 essence. Like, try to go ahead and get to pack 3. You don't have to, but I would try to, because we don't want to leave this area all that much. So again, we can, you know, use the alt fire method to increase the amount of damage that everything's going to take, and then switch back to our shotgun. While we're on the topic of getting extra points, since we have this talisman active, everything is giving us extra points. Like, it's just, even tossing down a decoy is giving us double the amount of points that it normally would. We do lose some essence when we get hit, like I mentioned earlier, but that's really a minor trade-off for this. Under normal circumstances, yeah, losing essence would be bad, but like, just look at this. Look at the amount of essence that we are just absolutely destroying there. You can also wait for Pack-a-Punch to come up to you. That is another option. Again, remember this timer. This timer will get you killed way more frequently than anything else in the game. I mean, after all, that's kind of the point of the timer, is to kill you. Try to find yourself a mutant injector. I can't stress enough how much those do come in handy. But you can very easily get a nice horde grouped up here. Go ahead and hit them with the beam smasher, and then just absolutely shred them. Obviously, insta-kill works as well. Decoys, you know, to get more points. And just keep farming like this. Now, you can do that. Obviously, this is working. We're getting a shitload of essence. We have way more essence than what it shows on the screen, simply because of the fact that, well, guess what? We are losing essence while we're getting hit. It's just one of those things. Now, again, you can do that little basketball Easter egg. I have always sucked at hitting that thing, and I've tried a couple of times to get the gameplay footage of it during Cranked every time I've died to the timer. So that's why we're not doing it this game. Also, try not to kill all of the parasites at one time during the parasite wave and in between the next wave, because, well, unfortunately, you'll probably run out of zombies before the timer, you know, actually is reset. So just be careful of that. If Pack-a-Punch is up by you, great. That's fantastic. It makes life easier. I like my shotgun, so I'm going to pack my shotgun, but we are also going to pack the beam smasher. And again, remember that pesky, freaking, annoying timer, because, yeah, we almost died to the timer again. So here is fantastic because we're getting quadruple essence without using any gumballs. But we can make it better, because right now we're not getting 100% critical hit ratio here. And there actually is a way to do this where we get 100% critical hit ratio, or 9 near 100% critical hit ratio, which is going to make this faster and in the long run more efficient. We can go ahead and pause our timer here. Basically need just a little bit more money, and then we can pack a punch. You will lose a fair amount of essence when you get hit, especially if you're getting hit multiple times. So you may find some difficulty when like manglers and whatnot get in the mix. But you should be able to go to your favorite training spot and not have too terribly much difficulty. So just get yourself up to Pack-a-Punch 3 and you'll be set. I'm going to use a decoy just to keep me okay here. And we'll go ahead and Pack-a-Punch now. So our Beam Smasher is now up to Pack 3. This is our maximum damage. We have our PhD Flopper. We have our Deadshot Daiquiri. We have everything that we need for this. And we're going to set up after the max ammo round. So max ammo rounds, you're basically going to handle like normal. Again, you can go anywhere on the map with this strategy. It is entirely personal preference. But chilling in the room where we build the Beam Smasher is going to be one of the craziest rooms, but one of the best rooms. For this, though, we're going to need our Beam Smasher out. And initially, we're just going to use the alt fire to take down a few of the zombies. And then we're going to pause the game. Alright, so now we're set up, our timer's set up, we're ready to go, and this is where our settings that we saved earlier come into play. So we're going to go to the settings options, and we're going to go ahead and change those two settings that I mentioned earlier. Instead of sprint assist being on, you're going to want tactical sprint assist on. Basically, as soon as you start moving forward, you're going to automatically tactically sprint, and then that's going to proc our next setting, which is sprint cancels reload. So we're going to turn sprint canceled reload on, and now as soon as we move forward, we're going to immediately, without having to press the button, we're going to immediately tactically sprint, which will cancel our reload. At least that is how it is supposed to work, but sometimes it can be a little bit buggy. So basically, you're going to let the zombies pile up on you a little bit, and then you're going to just wait for them like this, and we're going to have our explosion from the Beam Smasher. So when we move forward, like, our weapon resets, okay, and we just get free ammo. Now sometimes you may complete the reload, which it's honestly not that big of a deal. If you do complete the reload, you can simply just, you know, try again. Insert an armor plate, that also works. It's a little bit hard to get used to this, but basically what we're doing is the reload function of the Beam Smasher causes a explosion that actually does a lot of damage to zombies. So it will kill all of your regular zombies. Sometimes you may need to reload cancel, or you may need to burn some ammo. You also have amalgams, and it is a little bit touch and go. Like, with the regular game mode, it's perfectly fine. Without the regular game mode, though, because we don't have the luxury of infinite time and infinite cooldowns, we are stuck dealing with this craziness. You can also switch weapons if for some reason your sprint doesn't actually work. So sometimes that will happen simply because you're going to get so much ammo back that, well, unfortunately, it refills the magazine. But just bear that in mind. But yeah, this is the general strat. Let the zombies pile up. Use the alt fire. As soon as you see the reload activate, move forward. with that explosion. That's going to kill off a bunch of zombies. All of the zombie kills, though, are going to be as crit kills, because that's how the damage from this works, is as crit kills. And it may go ahead and do that where it just refills the magazine completely, which, if that's the case, you're going to have to deplete the magazine. You can toss a decoy to keep these guys off of you a little bit. And, yeah, just, it's a little bit difficult with only one shot in the magazine, so try to make sure that you have at least 2 shots in the magazine, and then wait for your reload to start, and then you move forward, which, when you move forward, you're automatically starting your tactical sprint, so therefore you are actually canceling the reload. You can also switch weapons to cancel reloads, so just, you know, experiment with it at your own discretion, whatever you feel comfortable with. Remember that you have decoys. Decoys are your only get out of jail free card. You can also just really quickly double tap the Y button if for some reason your movement forward reload doesn't, you know, automatically cancel the reload. There's options for you. Again, not the easiest thing to do, but absolutely insanely efficient. And same thing happens if you get a max ammo, not a big deal. Now, I'll show you how to deal with the bug waves. Again, bug waves, relatively easy. You do want to kill any manglers that may spawn with just regular weapons fire. Don't use a score streak to kill the manglers, regardless of when you're doing this. Simply because, well, guess what? They don't drop you score streaks if you kill them using a score streak. At the end of the bug round, this is your opportunity to plate up. Make sure you save at least 1 zombie, and then obviously we're going to need to use our ammo pool down so that we can get our forced reload here. So we'll get a little bit of a horde built up. They're right on us. We activate our reload and walk forward. Activate our reload and walk forward. If for some reason you do fully complete the reload, it's just because you weren't quite sprinting or you weren't quite tack sprinting. It can be a little bit wonky, but trust me, you will get it. You do need a decent group of enemies on you for the crit kill explosion to kill enough that you're going to get enough ammo back. But trust me, everything will die. Your regular zombies will die instantly to 1 reload canceled explosion. Your armored zombies will not. They'll take 2 normally. And of course your things like manglers, amalgams, things of that nature will obviously take even more. Now, if you're getting in a sticky situation, again, you can use your time freeze ability. This will also give you a chance to go ahead and use the alt fire method here. Again, it's hairy. Like, you can see it. I'm not necessarily getting this perfect. I'm sprinting forward a little bit sooner than what would be ideal, but we are getting this. More importantly, look at that ridiculous amount of essence. Like, we're being hit so much, but we still are just not dropping below the 60,000 essence. It's absolutely nutty when you do this. Obviously, regular farming works perfectly fine, though. I like to switch to my shotgun, but that's just me to deal with those guys. I'll also use a decoy generally at the beginning of the round, and I personally do not like using the Casimirs. Everybody else that I talk to is a really big fan of Casimirs, but I am not a big fan of Casimirs because Casimirs slow down the movement speed of zombies, which means less zombies will be piled up on you, less zombies piled up on you, And slower zombies means you are more likely to die from the cranked timer. Now, that time I screwed that up. I did the actual reload. I didn't move forward. But that's okay. All we have to do is deplete our ammo down. Again, we can just use the alternate fire and move forward to cancel that. Again, as long as we are starting the reload and then canceling it by moving forward with the sprint, we're okay. I am kind of sprinting a little bit too early, so that is something that you should note. It is possible to sprint too early when doing this. And obviously we don't want to actually reload, which is going to be very weird because I know most folks, if you're like me, you're probably very much used to reloading. And that's actually the opposite of what we want to do. We don't want to reload. So just never top off your magazine for the beam smasher. And this is how you do it. This is literally all there is to it. There's literally nothing else that you have to worry about this. That's it. Of course, if you get a max ammo, then that's going to refill your magazine, and you're going to have to restart this whole thing. You can always use a decoy. Decoys are awesome. And since we have Picky Eater, we don't actually have to really worry all that much about ever running out of decoys. It's amazing. You may have to time stop. Just, you know, word of warning. When it comes to the last couple of enemies, they're normally going to be stuck outside. It's normally going to be a couple of super slow-ass manglers. And those super slow-ass manglers are going to be a pain in the ass. I know it's not 100% crit, but, I mean, you have to admit, this is insanely easy. Like, what are we doing? We're literally left trigger, walk forward. Left trigger, walk forward. Left trigger, walk forward. Left trigger, walk forward. That is this strategy right here. Left trigger, walk forward. You can do this for as many rounds as you want. The only thing to note is that the parasites you will have to kill manually, because unfortunately parasites don't get hit by the explosion. It's absolutely insane. I'll show you how to deal with some higher rounds and how much essence that we actually got here at the end. Obviously, if you have any questions, please just ask. I will do my absolute best to help you guys out. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video and you actually learned something, then leave me a nice spicy comment and a like. If you didn't learn anything at all on this video, then, well, drop a dislike on the video, but still leave me a comment. Let me know what it is that I can improve upon to make this something that you enjoy more. Now, just so you can see, because, well, unfortunately, I did go down on Cranked. This is absolutely crazy, but this is working here. We're approaching health cap, and obviously the more you mess with this, the easier it will be for you. So don't worry too much if you don't get it on your first try. You can always set up and do this again. It's literally that easy. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to break out, and you're going to want to be able to use mutant injectors once you get, like, to after wave 50. Or if you get really in a sticky situation here where you have, you know, a few zombies left on you. In order to break out, you're going to need to have zombies left. And then you can run all the way over there, and right there is your crafting bench. So if you need to go to the crafting bench, you can very easily go to the crafting bench. craft yourself a mutant injector, and then you can use the mutant injector, which is what you're going to want to use for the later waves. Of course, keep in mind, though, that when you're using a mutant injector, there is a huge downside to this. One, the activation time, you're not going to actually be earning any, and I do mean any, of those annoying little nice things called kills. So yeah, the timer's gonna get you. But you can very easily just cancel the mutant injector. When the mutant injector ends, it will reset the timer. Canceling it near the bench will make your life easier. And then, of course, you're just going to have to make your way back to that little spot. As you've seen, it's not easy to do here in Cranked, but it is easy to do in a normal game. Yes, I am dying. I know I'm just not good enough. Not for Cranked, at least. But this is the generalized strategy. What you're going to do is, on these later waves, even if you don't have PhD Flopper, that's okay. You're just going to do a couple of charges. And once you've done, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 charges, this is when you're going to activate your mutant injector. And then you can go ahead and wipe the rest of the wave. And this works for anything at health cap or later. However, keep in mind that mutant injector kills, or any score streak kills, do reward less essence than the essence that you would get for a normal critical kill or body shot kill. So just bear that in the back of your mind. You can also go ahead and eliminate any amalgams or anything like that with the mutant injector just to make it easier on yourself. But again, it's entirely personal preference. If you see here, we're not getting anywhere near as much essence because of the fact that we're getting these kills with the mutant injector. And then when the mutant injector ends, it's going to reset that to the full 10 seconds.
Somebody want to tell me why my mouth tastes like a dead dog's ass?
So you can just keep doing this indefinitely. Obviously, I would recommend that you have your perks and don't die like I did. It's incredibly bad that I died. But, yeah. Then, just exit the game. Or reset the game if you want. We failed there just because it was getting a little chaotic and I didn't have my perks. If I had my perks, I'd be perfectly fine. Let's take a look at our essence. So with setup time, explanation, and me not doing a perfect job, because to be completely honest, this is like only the second time I've ever used this strategy. I just don't particularly play on this map that much. But in an hour, we have already received over 700,000 essence, which is 700,000 points for the event. And literally doing it this way, especially if you do go to high rounds, allows you to just stack up millions of essence in the same amount of time that the other methods allow you to stack up only, like, say, 500,000 essence. But again, it's entirely personal preference. Training with your regular weapon so you never get in a sticky situation and actually lose your perks is also perfectly fine. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, my brothers and sisters, thy legion, stay frosty.